Mahoraga finally adapts to Dabura's curse technique and goes on an absolute rampage. So it's time for the Deskunte warrior to prove that he is the strongest. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 18, titled One Who Is Capable, kicks off with an explanation of Yuta's ring. It's a cursed tool registered to the Gojo clan's warehouse. Not only does it contain Rika, but the immensity of Yuta's cursed energy. Maru shifted their orientation, and Rika Tsurugi spun. Maru stood on floating debris, while the pair was turned in mid-air. But instead of being disoriented, they lodged their fingers into a chunk of rubble, and bounded across footholds until they were within range of Maru. They struck the alien, and forced him to put up his guard. Rika was having a blast and compared Maru's disorientation to the feeling of being on a roller coaster. When Tsurugi reminded her not to talk so much, she complained about hating all the screaming kids at amusement parks. And while they were doing their comedy routine, Maru was reeling and trying to get a grip on this new situation. He needed to figure out where this crazy power was coming from. Then he remembered the ring the Okotsu siblings were fighting over, which apparently belonged to their grandfather. According to Maru, no one person could ever possess that much cursed energy, which is to say that someone with incomprehensible power must have poured cursed energy into the object for decades. And remember guys, Yuta had even more cursed energy than Gojo back when he was just a teenager, so who knows what he was truly capable of as a grown man. And since this was a labor of decades, I'm inclined to believe that the ring may have originally been created for his son, Iori. Maru knew he needed to lock in, and widen his third eye in close proximity to his opponent, activating his curse technique. But unbothered, they just grabbed him by the collar and met it with a severe headbutt. And when Maru stepped back from the shocking blow, they already had a fist prepared. Maru was launched and crashed into a body of water. The liquid floated away as he regained his footing and cleared the blood from his nose. Maru couldn't believe that his move didn't work. Tsurugi was using heavily restricted brute force and the power of the ring to straight up ignore Maru's curse technique. Making their way over, Tsurugi apologized to his friend, because he is determined to win this fight at any cost. And as foliage began to sprout at his feet, Maru told him that there's no need for such words. He was obscured by dense plant life in an instant. Then Maru made it clear that the feeling is mutual. He's here to win. The fight rages on. As elsewhere, Dabura focused on an elevated Mahoraga. The monster's demeanor had totally changed. The Deskunte raised a hand and light shone across the sky, focused on the Shikigami. Yet again, the creature was pierced by the searing beams, but this time, he broke through it with a mighty flex. Dabura's eyes widened at the unprecedented sight. Mahoraga slid next to him before he could blink. Dabura noticed the movement, and being faster, he shifted his positioning as Mahoraga's blade moved. Dabura avoided the strike, latched his feet onto the behemoth's shoulders, and grabbed its face with both hands. Then he forced his curse technique through the monstrosity's body, but its wicked smile never wavered. Dabura was uncomprehending. His move had no effect, but now that he was so close, Mahoraga carved into his face. Dabura didn't blink, but was in utter disbelief. The Divine General is now immune to his power. The alien raced back, but the hulking brute wasn't done with him just yet. He broke a traffic light over Dabura's head. The extraterrestrial finally understood that his opponent is capable of devouring and adapting, which must be absolutely terrifying to learn on the fly. Bleeding profusely, he also processed that now that the wheel was done spinning, its adaptation is complete. An oversized fist crashed into Dabura's guard. The strongest Simurian was all out of cards to play. He wondered if he was going to lose. Then a memory struck him before the monster's next blow. One of Dura suggesting that he try to get along with his fellow Deskunte more. A young Dabura looked timid as they trekked through a mountain range. With a bag in each hand, his shoulders slumped as he questioned if his presence was really so undesirable. Much to Dabura's shock, his best friend tried to clarify. He does like being around Dabura. If anything, he's the only worthy opponent the Rumelian can think of. But he figures that it must be hard being so removed from your own tribe, especially on account of his sister's position. Dabura replied that because of how prideful his people are, standing amongst them would only cause trouble. As in the present, Dabura had been shunted into an abandoned apartment complex. Slumped amidst the wreckage, Dabura marveled at the experience as he thought of Dura. He might actually lose this fight. As blood streamed past his widened eyes, the alien accepted that he was in pain and afraid. Concepts that were once novel and foreign to someone so strong. The memory continued with Dabura saying that he could beat everyone in his tribe with minimal effort, along with the fact that when people are jealous of him or refuse to accept him, it really hurts his feelings. Which tells me that Osuki's insults must have actually been painful for him, although I'm sure the Rumelian would be kinder if he knew that. Dabura admitted that although he's a warrior and very strong, he really doesn't have any desire to fight. In turn, Dura just laughed and corrected his friend, because rather than being adverse to fighting, it was clear to him that the kid has simply never been in a real fight before. Dabura didn't understand, but according to Dura, Dabura is so strong that he's never really had a chance to truly become a warrior. Still, Dabura didn't get what he was trying to say. Dura admitted that words can only go so far, but as the sun peeked over the horizon, he expressed his belief that one day, someone so strong would show up that Dabura would be pushed to the brink and would finally understand. As in the present, Dabura suffered a mighty kick from the strongest of the 10 shadows. His body ragdolled through building after building. The creature was unrelenting, but as he was being brutalized, Dabura came to a realization. Fighting because you want to, and fighting because you don't want to. Neither was truly fighting. He remembered his best friend's final request, for him to protect the Rumelians in his stead. He remembered his dear sister, and the capabilities his loved ones believe in. He thought of the Rumelians at their happiest, as the notion of fighting because you have to came to mind. Suddenly, Dabura caught Mahoraga's fist. The idea of that. Now that is what a true fight is. And someone capable of that is a true warrior. As even with his head lowered, Dabura's third eye was fixed on Mahoraga. He dashed the fist away, and Mahoraga leapt back. Dabura called out to the uncomprehending Shikigami. First he apologized. Then he promised to fight for real. We're then reminded that Dabura's curse techniques are incomprehensible and light. But even so, as a physical being, Dabura's body cannot handle the acceleration of light. So he's never actually moved at light speed himself. Dabura dug his feet into the ground. Now that his curse technique is totally ineffective, there is only one thing left for him to do. Annihilate his opponent with his bare hands. Dabura resolved himself to push his body's speed and strength to their utmost limitations. Again, he spoke to his late friend and vowed to become a warrior. As beyond the limitations of man, Dabura tears across the battlefield at sub-light speed. Dabura has awakened. Peak, 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 peak. Gege is on a generational run with what might just be the most compelling work Shonen Jump has seen in nearly a decade. Dabura almost feels like a combination between Broly and Frieza realizing that effort and training are things he can actually do. But again, as an explicit reminder, Mahoraga can adapt to any and all phenomena. So to win, Dabura will need to pull a Saitama and finish him before the wheel can finish spinning. The hype is real, and you better be here next week for the continuation because you know it is going to be epic. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.